Hey guys, welcome to Troy Time. Hey, check it out. Today I'm going to talk to you about the different ways that you can use pool noodles in hydroponics, okay? I've been doing this for several years. I got this idea from Mike Van Duzy on the Keep On Growing website, and I've come up with a few things of my own. I know he showed some of these similar type of things as well. Check out his site, it's awesome stuff. But I want to kind of go over my system. I apologize to a couple of my viewers. I was supposed to make this video a long time ago, a month ago, but life got busy. So let's just keep going and I'll talk about what we do with these pool noodles. Okay, so when I first made my video kind of covering the system that I use, I talked about the system a lot, and then I just kind of blew over the pool noodle part, and I just said, you stick them in a pool noodle. And so there were a lot of questions about, hey, what exactly are you using? How are you shaping the pool noodle? That kind of thing. So that's what I'm trying to answer with this video. So this is the first stage. We're just going to glance over the actual system now. We'll go more in depth on the pool noodle. But this is the first part. This is a green and white tray. No pool noodles used. No medium used whatsoever. That's the beauty of this system. Simple, efficient, and no medium used whatsoever. All right, this is sort of stage 2, and we do use pool noodles for this. This is a floating raft system, okay? And we're going to talk about these pool noodles here. We use just a little 1-inch noodle, okay? And this is great. We're going to show how we do it, how we cut it, and how we put the plants into them, that kind of thing. But this is the second stage, okay? And so this is what we call our floating raft system. This is for ones where the plants that have a root of less than 1 inch, 1 inch or less. All right, if the root gets a little bit longer, then they might not go into this type of floating raft. They might go into our nursery. Okay, our nursery is for when the root is about 2 inches or between 1 and 2 inches long, okay? They're not quite ready to go into a full-size system, but they're maybe they're not too big, but they can come out of that floating raft or from the plate itself right into this nursery, because the nursery will support them a little better and give them a little more vertical support. Okay, and so that's our nursery, and that works great for indoors or outdoors. So we use this all the time. So one of those two systems is going to be our intermediate step before we go into our full-size system. Our full-size system is this, but it could be many other things. Any system that has this 1 7/8 size hole, which is just great, it can grow all kinds of plants. I've grown tons and tons of different plants, all in this what I'll call a full-size system. That's a 1 7/8 inch hole, and we use a pool noodle for that. So we're using a pool noodle for all three of the back systems that I just showed you, but nothing on the green and white tray. So lots of inexpensive stuff that you can just use over and over again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more specific now. Like I say, on the green and white trays, no pool noodles. You don't have to worry about anything. We might on occasion use a little bit of toilet paper just to catch the real small seeds, but generally we have no medium whatsoever. If we want to pull it out of that tray, the white tray, then we put it on our floating pool noodle system. What's real important about this is the ramp. So we want to cut a pool noodle so it has that ramp. That ramp is what allows us to have the smallest little tiny sprouts still be able to reach down into the nutrients and yet still keep their leaves above the surface, okay? So that's what we're looking for. So let's talk about how to cut our pool noodle. So we're going to go about a thumb's length or so, right about there, about 1 thumb's length, maybe about 1 inch, I guess. And we're just going to cut a ring out of the pool noodle, okay? Real simple. We're just going to do this here. And kind of hard to do as I'm viewing through the camera, so bear with me on that. So we have just a little pool noodle ring now, okay? It's about 1 thumb length wide. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut into fourths, okay? We're going to cut north, south, east, and west. And when we cut it, if we cut it nice and straight, it will actually make that ramp that we talked about, okay? You're going to see that here. So I'm just cutting that ring into fourths. There, it's in half. Now I'm going to cut it into fourths. Boom. Be careful, they fly all over. And now we've got it in fourths, okay? Fourths. And so what you'll notice now if you look at these is they're about 1 inch or so, and they have that ramp. That's the critical part, okay? So we'll look at closer at one in particular. I'll just grab one here. All right, so like I say, we're cutting this in fourths, and now they have that ramp. See the ramp there? That's like what we'll call an upward ramp, okay? So now what you want to do to insert your plant is you want to make a cut in the middle of that 1 inch ramp. If it's a smaller plant, you can maybe just cut along the ramp. If it's a little bit bigger of a plant, you maybe can cut all the way, maybe halfway through up onto the plateau, okay? But we'll do that now. This ramp looks a little better on the other side, so we'll do it on this one. So I'm going to go right in the center, and I'm just going to cut a little slit. and I'll go a little under the plateau right there, okay? So we just make like a little Pac-Man, right? Little slit there, right? And you can shove it right in the slit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, I have just a simulated plant right now because I don't have any plants at this stage, so I'm just gonna use a toothpick to simulate our plant. And notice how we have a very small root here. It's less than an inch. But if you look, the root's poking through and the leaves are on top. So that's how that ramp really helps us. And that'll float right on top of your nutrients and it'll support it just perfect. So even the tiniest little plants can go with that method, okay? Now, if the root's a little bit longer, or if you want the support of it, then when the root's about maybe 2 inches or so, then we can put it in a nursery. We wouldn't go into a full-size system until the root's about 3 inches, okay? So here on our 2-inch one now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna invert that 1-inch black pool noodle. So now the ramp is going upward, okay? And we're actually gonna put the leaf on the plateau. And how I like to do this is I like to put diagonal corners in. It doesn't matter which two. Choose 2 diagonal corners and tuck them into the actual holding fixture there. What that's going to do, it's really hard to capture on camera, but that's going to allow the root to come down. I'm going to fill my nutrients right up to where the rim is. See the rim on the container there? And the nutrients are going to go right there, and sticking them in that style is going to have that root go right down into the nutrients. Real hard to capture on film. You can kind of see it there on the back wall. But as I lower the lid, that root's going to go right into the nutrients, and the green leaves are going to be supported above. And that's what you want for the cracky system, passive system that's just awesome. All right, so now let's talk about a full-size system. I might go just a little bit more than a thumb's width, maybe almost 2 thumb widths, depending upon the plant that I'm using, okay? How much support I want to give it. So on this one, that's a pretty medium, maybe a 1.5 thumbs, maybe 1.5 inches, something like that. You could go all the way down to 1 inch, you could go up to 2 inches. Doesn't really matter. With the cracky system, you just need to support the plant above the water. So that's what we're doing. And the roots need to touch, maybe go in 1/2 inch or so into the nutrients. And as long as that happens, it's going to work. So on this now, I'm just going to cut a V, maybe cut 1/4 out of it, not even quite a fourth, just a little V. I'm cutting a V right out of it, okay? And now we're going to use that V, and that's going to be our wedge. So we're going to stick it back into our little Pac-Man, and that's going to be our full-size pool noodle. That's how we do. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just wedge that in. On this, you might want to trim. It's optional. You can trim a little upward going ramp so that the farther you push the plug in, the more pressure it gives to the plant. That's an optional thing. You don't have to do that. It'll work the other way too, but I found that little ramp can be helpful sometimes to really secure the plant in place. All right, so here we're just going to take our little Pac-Man, our little full-size pool noodle here. We're going to put the main part in, and then we're going to have that little wedge that I just talked about. And we're going to wedge that in there, and then we'll just use that to support our plant. Okay, so I'm just going to put it in there so it's wedged in real nice. Normally I would do it with the plant at the same time, but I'm just trying to show you on camera. It's kind of hard to do. And here now we have our 3-inch plant, okay? It's our simulated plant, but it's a toothpick with a pool noodle. I use pool noodles for everything. And we're just going to support that just like that, and we push our wedge down, and it's going to give more and more support to that plant. We could also use toothpicks and different skewers and different things to hold the whole pool noodle or the whole assembly together and give the plant stability as it grows when it's in a full-size system. Just another beauty of those pool noodles. Okay, so there it is in the full-size system, and there's the root, and as you can tell, it's going to go right down into the nutrients right where that little lip is. And it doesn't have to be this container. There's 100 different containers that could be full-size systems. We'll talk about that in some future videos. I wanted to focus mostly today on just the pool noodles, how we cut them. So the system in general, our little green and white mesh tray, we don't use any pool noodles at all. Okay, we germinate everything. Every single plant we germinate with this, except potatoes. All right, if we're going on the floating pool noodle, or the floating raft system, we want a 1-inch pool noodle with an upward ramp. We cut a slit right through it. If we're going to the nursery, we flip that over and we tuck in 2 corners, opposite corners. And if we're going in our full-size system, we cut out a little wedge, about a 1/4 or so, and then we use that to wedge to hold the plant in place. Okay, so that's all 4 of kind of what I consider a 3-part system. I consider the germination tray, the green and white mesh, an option to go to either the floating rafts or the nursery before going finally onto the full-size system. So that's the system. We'll talk more about it. Check out my site, man. We grow so many awesome plants. I didn't put them on here because I wanted to focus on the instruction. But we grow so many awesome plants in this system. So this is Troy time, guys. I hope you do this. I hope this answered questions. Sorry the video was late. Stay tuned, guys, for just a quick little slideshow of some of the hydroponics using these methods. Take care afterwards. This is Troy time. We'll talk to you soon.